Excellent. Okay, so according to this, we are live. So welcome everyone to the Fast Freedom Formula live video. My name is Michael Harris.
I'm James Scott.
And I'm Tony Bones.
And we are so thrilled that you are here today. We thought we'd do something fun. Yeah, we actually do have a plan, even though it doesn't seem like we have one. But I wanted to ask you this question. What is your version of freedom and empowerment for you? And generally I'm flapping my lips, but I'm just gonna let Tony like go wild with him, and we'll just go. I'll be quiet and go on the tail end.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what comes to mind a little bit. I think we mentioned it a little bit earlier, Michael, is a story in England going back to 1998, where a woman called Tricia Stewart decided that it would be a fun thing to do. She was part of the Women's Institute in the Yorkshire Downs. And she thought it might be a fun thing, rather than do the normal calendar, which revolved around animals, rolling hills, and pretty things like that. But it might be a bit of fun to do sort of a nude calendar. But it was just an idea. It was muted. It was a bit of fun, and no one would took it seriously. But unbeknown at that time, there was a lady called Angela Baker, I think her name was, and her husband John got ill with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So he unfortunately died. Yeah, sadly, he passed away. But that idea took off from that point. The embers of that idea then took off, and they run with that idea, and that became the Calendar Girls. So in 1998, they really sort of took off, and they, I think the original idea was to earn about £5,000 out of that. And in the end, I think £5 million from doing that. They had 11 people, 11 women between 45 and 65. But these individuals, I mean, they embraced the difference, they embraced the change. They felt empowered to do something because of John, unfortunately passing away. And yeah, that was a great transformation. And I think something that we can learn from all of us who can step outside, have a normal identity. You know, films were made, books, I think the calendars, I think they sold about 88,000 over in the UK. And over in your place, good old USA, I think that was 240,000 calendars. So they ended up, I said again, £5 million they raised for charity, which is blood-wise now.
That's amazing.
But I think the thing is, for me, that you don't necessarily have to take your clothes off, obviously, to do anything and create a change and get what you want. Though it's been done before, let's be honest. But people can embrace change. Labels of identity can sometimes hold us back. Those labels that we put on ourselves. You know, I think having a self-determinism, but knowing when to draw resources in, and feel that we need a bit of help to get where we want to go. I think, for me, that's the lesson from this story. That's self-empowerment, self-determinism, and from my point of view, I think empowerment is options and choice, and not living by the label of that self-identity. So yeah.
So thank you, sir. Yeah, we'll come back to that toward the tail end of the show. Because you know how I love to talk about working styles. I think another example, and I don't know that you were part of this conversation. I know James was. We were talking about Viktor Frankl, and I was like, could be first word. I can't think of her name right now. What's her face's diary? What the Diary of Anne Frank?
Anne Frank.
Got it.
Diary of Anne Frank. Yeah.
Okay, and both of those people, you know, at the point of the end of their lives, they get it. They get it. They get that shift, and they're free. I like the Calendar Girl story too. I did see the movie. And I remember one line in the movie, this nice, you know, very proper English lady goes, Yeah, if I don't get them out now, when am I going to? I guess she was referring to her upper body. But yeah, so James, what's your version of freedom and empowerment?
Well, I was thinking about this, and there's a story that comes to mind. It was a personal story for me. It's not about me, but I was involved in it when I was learning stage hypnosis, and in the early days. My mentor, he performed under the name Mark Simon, right? But his real name was Sam Holly, and Sam took me on the road with him to see a couple of shows that he was doing, and to learn, in the field, in the trenches training. And we were sitting. It was before a show, and we had gone and to the location and set everything up. And then he's like, "Let's go get," we had time. He said, "Let's go get something to eat." So we went over to a Hardee's that was nearby. And now Sam had cancer, and it was in remission. That had gone into remission when he was teaching me, but it had come back, and I did not know. Right. And he had not mentioned it to me, and he had been undergoing chemotherapy and all this other stuff. And we're sitting at the Hardee's. Now, Sam had a nice head of hair and a goatee, and we're sitting at the Hardee's, and we're talking, and I asked him a question, and he was thinking about it, and he reached up like this to stroke his chin, and his entire beard fell out on the table.
Oh, wow.
Before the show. And he went, and he looked at me, and long story short, and his hair was falling out too. Right. So long story short, before that show, he went and shaved his face clean, shaved his head completely clean, and owned it. Went and did that show completely, looking completely different than he had ever looked, and owned it. And I was like, you know what? That's badass. That was freedom, and that was empowerment, because he was like, you know what? I'm the same person. I just look a little different, right? And he owned it. And he's like, I look like Mr. Clean now, but it was awesome, because he wasn't going to let that stop him. You know what I mean? And it was really a motivational, kind of inspirational. That's the word I was looking for. Inspirational story for me about, hey, this is not going to stop me. This is that moment where I'm going to be free, and I'm going to exercise the freedom to empower myself with this new look, and it's pretty cool, So that's my idea of it. Is freedom is that, freedom, empowerment, and having the two together. When you're faced with some type of adversity, and it's, you don't always have to have adversity to have freedom or empowerment. But when you have that adversity added into the element, and then you're like, the heck with this, and you just choose, you choose how to react to things, right? And I think that just creates a sense of empowerment and freedom that you can't capture otherwise. So that's my example.
It's interesting, James, isn't it, that can often be a catalyst, can't it? A transitional point when you get that adversity.
Absolutely.
But the lower said, sometimes we find, we become good, don't we?
Yeah, it's funny,
and use that moment. Yeah.
And in years past, I've done shows, and they weren't going as bad. They were as good as I wanted. And then I think back on that incident, and I'm like, well, my hair didn't fall out. I wasn't, I have to go back to that and go, what would Sam do? Sam would go, shut up and suck it up and do the show, So it's he's still with me. He sits on my shoulder all the time. Every time I do a show, he's like, really? You're gonna moan about that, really? So it's a good times. But yeah, it's that transition, that into those things, to make you larger than life. To me, when I watched him on that stage, and I've seen him perform, but when I watched him do that show, he was larger than life to me. I was like, whoa, this dude is bad. He's awesome, So
that's somebody who has a very profound sense of okayness about who he is. Well, God, well, after those two stories, my story is going to seem pretty lame.
Oh, come on.
Go ahead and roll with it anyway. And my wife and I were on vacation over the weekend. And here's a secret about me that you guys don't know. I have never, ever to the 14th power done karaoke ever. Just, you know, because to me, karaoke is Japanese for you
Really?
can't sing, go sit down. Okay. and we were sitting there now. I can tell you there was drinking involved, but we were sitting there and I'm listening to these people, and I had this really interesting thought. We couldn't possibly be as bad as some of the previous songs that we had just heard. So there's my poor lovely bride sitting there bothering no one. I go, hey, guess what? I just signed us up for a song. And we actually did two, because I believe if you're going to do something, if you're going to jump off a building, you know, make sure that the elevator works, because I think you should do it once for the experience and then once to see if you like it or not. And so our first experience, you know, both of us actually knew the words to the song that we were singing. And we were almost on key. She has a lovely voice, you know, and then there's me. And then the second song that we did, she did not know the lyrics at all. And I'm guessing that the sucking was so bad that a couple of people came up to help us.
My wife would have killed me.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but the reason I wanted to mention this is, you know, part of the Fast Freedom Formula process is about assessing your working style. And I know that we talked about that. And Tony, you have a tendency to be more independent than the two of us.
Yeah, possibly.
But when I was thinking about that one of the reasons that I've never done karaoke is I'm not an independent. I'm a proximity person. So the mathematical possibilities, regardless of the amount of tequila that is available, I'm not going up there by myself. I'm going to have a wingman or a wing girl in this particular case. And, you know, just think about some of the things that you've accomplished. You know, maybe they were hard, or maybe that, you know, or maybe you had an identity shift. And each one of the things that we've talked about, you know, from the Calendar Girls, they were serving their community. That's a collaborative work ethic or collaborative work project that gave them the ability, you know, to have the support. Because I don't know that any one of those nice, proper English ladies from Northern, wherever it was they were from, whatever.
Yorkshire Dales, yeah.
Yeah, would have stepped out on their own and said, hey, take a look. Okay, but as a group, yes, and for a worthy cause, yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, and your friend James, like, he was already committed. You know, the show must go on. So he had,
Absolutely.
you know, had a thing to go on. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to mention. And I keep checking the. We don't have any comments, not yet. But think about what is it that really makes you feel free. For some people, you know, it's going to the ocean. For other people, it's flying or jumping out of airplanes, or you know, doing something as simple as one year I decided it would be a different experience to go work at a soup kitchen for Thanksgiving, and met a ton of people, you know, that were at that soup kitchen. A lot of them, you know, I wonder sometimes how people bear up through some of the challenges that they've had, but they were totally grateful about that. And all of the people, you know, we were all serving soup and Thanksgiving dinner and stuff. And these people were so happy. It was just an amazing experience. And I tried to do that one time with my youngest daughter. And I'm like, okay, let's go to a soup kitchen. Oh no. In Dallas, Texas, you have to sign up now. This is not a new idea.
Wow.
Yeah, and you have to
Really?
get on a waiting list now if you're going to assist the homeless during the holidays. It's just pretty amazing. So we can talk about anything that you guys want. I just wanted to tell the listeners, you know, if this is interesting to you, or you'd like to know more about hypnosis or coaching or the Fast Freedom Formula group, you know, just post in the comments. You're welcome to follow the Facebook group. You can also follow us on YouTube. Just type in Fast Freedom Formula, it'll come right up. But you know, just think about are any other additional ideas coming to you guys? And yes, I'll edit the tape.
Well, you know, one of the things that I want to talk about or kind of expand upon a little bit real quick is you were talking about the you know, what are the things that you do that give you freedom? You know, some people, like you said, it might be jumping out of an airplane, you know, and for me it's and these are things. It's interesting because people have different things. You know, some people would be terrified. For example, you're talking about karaoke. You know, I enjoy karaoke. I haven't done it in a while, but I enjoy it. Not that I'm good at it, I just enjoy it, right? But it terrifies other people. But one of the things that I do and love and get my freedom and my power from and everything, my Zen moments from, is performing. You know, even if it's just an impromptu performance, you know, at a Starbucks or something, you know, someone says, hey, you're that mind reader guy, or you're that hypnotist guy. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, can you do something? Oh, sure, of course, you know. And it's so funny because I've got friends that are like, oh man, I can't do that because I don't have anything on me. I'm like, you're a mind reader. You have your brain on you, don't you? You know, you're a hypnotist, you know. But but some people would be terrified by that, by you know, having to perform in front of people. That's my thing. That's my jam. That's when I'm putting on my superhero suit. You know what I mean? That really empowers me. It makes me feel amazing and feel free and feel empowered. You know, but there are certain things that people talk about that they do for fun, like rock climbing. And I'm like, not this guy. No, thank you. I am not climbing up the side of a mountain. No, I don't care how much you pay me. I don't care how safe it is. I'm not doing it. Right. But I can see how that would be amazing. You know, I had a classmate that was a female Marine and when I was in public affairs school, and she for the military, and she went and climbed after I was in class with her, like a year or so later. She went and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And she sent me pictures and she said, look, and I'm like, that's amazing. She said, you should do it. I'm like, no, you know, thank you, but no. You know, I mean, she climbed the summit and everything, took pictures of this, and I'm like, no. But you know, but the thing isn't it interesting, the different things that empower different people? And it's you know, and the thing is that this is why I love what we do with hypnosis and with things that have to do with mind body practices, you know, hypnosis and NLP and all these things and coaching, because I actually could see myself climbing a mountain, you know. Yes, I think about it and I'm like, no, but I know that I can shift my state, shift my mindset to seeing, yeah, I can see how that could possibly be something I would do and be very empowering for me, you know. And with these processes that we teach in the Fast Freedom Formula, you know, you can actually change your limiting beliefs. You know, you can change your and realize, hey, I've always thought about, you know, what is it this person gets out of that, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to go do that, but what are the qualities of that are empowering that person, making that person feel free? And you can apply that and map that over into your, you know, into your life. And maybe, you know, and I have in the last couple of years, I have changed my thoughts about what I would and would not do, right? You know, because, you know, of mortality or whatever, you know, but now I'm like, that looks fun, you know, and I'm part of the Wounded Warrior Project, and they're like, hey, you want to come with us and take this like gazillion mile long bike ride? And I'm like, I've been on a bike since I was a kid, you know. And they're like, no, it's cool, we'll do it. And I'm like, I don't know. But now, you know, I'm expanding that idea, you know, and using these techniques that we teach to move myself out of that negative limited state into a more empowered state. So I just wanted to mention that because I think this is something that we teach. It's something that we all do and do for each other.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say that, James, because also I think, you know, what are the identities that we're holding on to? Are they really our identities, our beliefs? Or are they being instilled by society or other people, like parents or guardians? So, you know, sometimes we need to think outside the box a little bit of who we really are, don't we? And change, mix it up a little bit. Use it as a catalyst, that moment of awareness, I think, to expand ourselves.
And you guys challenge me to do new things all the time, especially Michael. He's like, hey, go do this. I'm like, I don't want to. And he's like, you have to go do this. I don't want to.
I was actually going to mention that the way that that friend of yours, a female Marine, the way that she presented it to you, you should go do that. That's an independent. And you're like, oh, hell no.
Okay. Right, exactly. Because I'm proximity based, as you know.
Right. But if Tony and I showed up at your house and the truck's packed, and
I'd have probably done it.
Yeah. It's like, dude, get in the car, we're going.
Yeah.
And your wife would be like, don't kill him, bring him back.
Bring him back. She'd be like, bring him back in one piece, Marine. And Nicole would have been like, maybe 2 pieces, but I'll bring him back.
Yeah. and then the guys from your Wounded Warrior, they said we.
Exactly.
And you were like,
you know what? That's an interesting insight. Yeah.
It's really, really paying attention to the languaging, because if you tell me, yeah, you need to go do that, you know, it may or may not happen. But if you say we're going to do that, let's go.
Yeah,
that's a
sort of
very
security in numbers sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we work, we do. But also it depends on the context, I think, doesn't it, Michael?
I think so. Yeah,
because it depends whereabouts that is in your life.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff.
Proximity or individual. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I can do on my own. You know, I can teach classes, I can do all that stuff, you know.
And sing.
I did not sing alone.
Sure.
Yes, and nor am I going to.
Now, see, when I sing karaoke, though, and it's interesting that it shifts with the style shifts with different contexts, because when I'm performing, I don't know. When I'm training, I'm okay training with other people and presenting with other people. When I'm performing, get off my stage. Right. When I'm singing, which is karaoke, that's still a form of performing. I do it by myself. Get off my stage. Right. And it was so funny because the other night I went and did a hypnosis show, and this, you know, there's chairs on the stage, and this kid was sitting, you know, up on the stage in one of the chairs before the show. And I just walked out and walked up toward the stage, and a whole bunch of people. And I wasn't thinking, I wasn't not nice about it, but in a very strong, powerful voice, I said, "Get off my stage." And the kid like stood up and like walked off the stage. And then I caught myself and I said, "No, it's just, we're not ready for you to be on stage." He goes, "Okay." But it was just very funny because I was like, "Get off my stage." And with a microphone, I said, "Get off my stage." And he was like, "Oh," and it was funny because I was like, wow, I really do own that. You know, that's that whole, but it's interesting that the context that it changes it, you know, because there's so many things that I prefer to do with other people. And that's very clear, that it's very astute of Michael to have noticed that about me, because I didn't know that months ago.
Yeah.
But now I do.
Next week, we're going to be doing pattern interrupts. And you're going to be on vacation.
We'll be good at that, Michael.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was doing it then.
One more time.
Pattern interrupt.
I did a pattern interrupt one. But another thing that I was thinking of, exactly. So I was going to say, you're going on vacation when?
From Sunday.
Okay,
So I'll be back around the 17th. So we're going to miss 2 Wednesdays, unfortunately.
okay.
Mm.
Well, we will bear up and try to carry on.
I've got faith.
We'll miss you, but we'll, keep a, yeah, I know. We'll keep a, we'll keep tissue handy and we'll carry the torch for you, my friend.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching the show, whether you're doing it live or later. And I'm Michael Harris.
I'm James Scott.
I'm Tony Rose.
And this is the Fast Freedom Formula Wednesday live video. And we'll talk to you guys later.